Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you a beautiful arrangement of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Now, I got a chance to play through the entire arrangement, and I've got to say that it is perfect for the intermediate player, and I think it's going to be a really good piece for working on rubato. Now, if you don't know what that is, no worries, jump into this lesson. I'll also link it in the description box below to find out. Now, let's take a step back. Let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the entire piece. But if you want to get the tabs to follow along with and print and keep for your records, that is going to be available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com to search for this song. Now also on that page will be the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a great feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you want. Just a great asset in learning this tune that much easier. All right guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this. Don't forget to grab the high G ukulele because this arrangement takes advantage of reentrant tuning, and I will catch you at the end of the video.
Hello! In today's video, we're going to learn a solo high G arrangement of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Let's go ahead and dive into the first bar. I'm going to bring the camera down, and we're going to start here with just an open C, open E. I like to use just my thumb here on my playing hand for the whole song as we go through. And then we're going to make use of that high G string by playing the C6 chord, which is just all open, and we're going to just strum it up using the nail of our thumb coming upward. If you don't get a good tone doing that, it's okay. You can just use your index finger, no problem there. And then I'm going to play the 3rd fret of the A string with my ring finger here. And that's the first bar. Sounds something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into the second bar now, we're going to play this D minor 11 chord, simply adding the index finger to the 1st fret of the E string, middle finger to the 2nd fret of the C string. Notice how the ring finger stays put on the 3rd fret of the A. Another up strum here. Then I'm going to play the 1 on the E, open on the E by taking the index off, 2 on the C by leaving it there, and then open on the C by taking it off, and then 2 on the C again by placing it back on. So in time, that second measure sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the two measures together, measures 1 and 2, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the 3rd measure here, we're going to play the exact same thing we did for the 1st measure. So same open C, open E, up strum all open, same 3 on the A. In time, measure 3 is like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we're going to go on measure 4. We're going to do that same D minor chord that we were playing before with the open G string here. And we're going to do an up strum. And then we're going to pluck the C string, E string, and A string, all within the chord that's being played. And then we're going to switch to a G7 by just taking that ring finger and pivoting it down 1 fret to the 2nd fret of the A string, leaving the middle and index fingers where they are, and strum through it nice and soft. So measure 4 in time sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And measures 3 and 4 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the 5th measure now of the song, we're going to play open on the C and the E. And I like to just use my thumb here, play the C and E together, and stop on the A string. Then I'm going to play the 3 and the 4 on the E and the C strings respectively. I'm going to use my middle and ring fingers. You'll find out why in a second. So ring finger on the 4th fret of the C string, middle finger here on the 3rd fret of the E. Then I'm going to slide these up to 9 and 8, 9 on the C, 8 on the E. Then I'm going to add the index finger here to 7 on the A. And that measure 5 sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the sixth measure here, we're going to play this D minor 7. Take your index finger, bar it across the 5th fret of all 4 strings. If it helps, you can take your middle finger and reinforce it by stacking over it. Just make sure you're hugging right up next to that fret wire and you'll get an easier bar. That's the big trick to good bar chords, is not being right in the middle, but rather getting right up next to that fret wire. And then I'm going to strum through my C, E, and A here. Then the G string. Then 7 on the E, leave these fingers where they are, add the ring finger here on 7, take it off for 5 again. And then we're going to move to this E chord, very simply, just take this bar and move it down 1 fret to 4, play the C and E strings together, then play the G string. So 6 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the 7th measure here, we're going to play this beautiful A minor 7. We're going to play open on the G, 4 on the C string with the middle finger, 5 on the E string with the ring finger, and 3 on the index finger with the A string there. We're going to play through those. And then we're going to play the C augmented. To play this, really straightforward, we're just going to take this ring finger and we're going to move it down 1 fret from 5 to 4 on the E string. And then we're going to play the C, E, and A. Make sure you don't play the G string here. That gives you that C augmented. In time, measure 7 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to measure 8, we're going to play a C chord. We're going to leave our middle finger where it is, take our ring finger off, take your index finger and bar it across the 3 on the E and the A string. So we have 0, 4, 3, 3. And then for the last chord here, for the C7, kind of a spicy voicing, leave this where it is and take your pinky finger and add it to the 6th fret of the E string. And then strum through. I really love this voicing. So measure 8 in time is just that C chord and C7, sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And 7 and 8 now as a pair with just those 4 chords should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Creating that nice little bass line movement down. From here we go on to measure 9. We're going to play an F major 9 chord, one of my all-time favorites, 0, 5, 5, 7. So the index finger bars across the 5th fret of the C and the E strings, ring finger here on the 7th fret of the A, strum through all 4 strings. Play that 7 on the A again. And then this is the tricky part. We're going to make this switch to this F minor major 7. To do this, what I like to do is move everything down and get the index finger to 4 on the E, middle finger to 5 on the C, pinky finger here to 7 on the A. It's a tricky little transition going from this. But with practice, you'll get it. You'll see that I'm using my index finger to kind of guide it as I go down. Alternatively, you can use like your pinky on this F major 9 chord, so then you only have to flip-flop those 2 fingers. Kind of do what's comfortable for you. But after we play this F minor major 9, we're then going to play 5 on the A. I like to kick my ring finger down there. And then 3 on the A with the index. So measure 9 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then going into measure 10, this index finger is going to move down. So we play a C major 7, 0, 0, 0, 2. Then play 3 with the middle and 5 with the pinky. And then we're going to play this little 3 and 2 on the C and E. Take your ring finger, move it up to the 3rd fret, or excuse me, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the C string. And then your index finger on the 2nd fret of the E string. Play just those 2 all by themselves. Then turn the wrist so that your fingernails kind of point towards your right shoulder so that your ring finger can squeeze in there to the 3rd fret of the A string. Then move your middle finger down to 2 on the A. And that finishes that measure. Measure 10 is a little confusing. Sounds something like this in time now. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And 9 and 10 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. from here we go into this D minor add 11, 0, 2, 1, 0. Middle finger here on the second fret of the C string, index here on the first fret of the E string. A lot like what we played at the start, if you remember the D minor add 11, right? D minor 11. It's like that, only without the ring finger, so open on the E. And we're going to play that open, 0, 2, 1, 0. And then 2 on the A string, add the ring finger there. And then 3 on the A string, add the ring finger there. Then we're going to do a normal down strum on this G7 sus4, but keeping the fingers where they already are. Play it nice and soft. Then we're going to play 2 on the A, just moving that ring finger down, playing that. So measure 11 looks something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then measure 12 is going to go to a C major 7, which is just the 2 here on the A string, to a C chord, just the 3 here on the A string. It's a very sparse measure, but sounds really beautiful having that space. In time, it sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And the two measures together, 11 and 12, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 13, we're going to start getting some spicy jazzy chords here. We're going to play this A minor 6. To do that, bar across the second fret of the ukulele with your index finger. Add your ring finger to the 4th fret of the C string and your middle finger to the 3rd fret of the A string. This one's quite challenging if bar chords are tricky, but again, hug that fret wire and then make sure that these 2 fingers are nice and articulate with these angles and you'll get a good sound. We're going to strum through all 4. Then we're going to play the 3 on the A again. Then we're going to play this D sharp diminished 7. Take that middle finger, move it up to this 3rd fret of the C string, leave the bar where it is, put the ring finger underneath to the 3rd fret of the A string. So it's 2, 3, 2, 3, strum through all 4. Then play 2 on the A by taking the ring finger off, 2 on the G, which is already there with the bar. So measure 13 in time, 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to the 14th measure here, we're going to play this little E minor no 5. Take your ring finger, place it on the 4th fret of the C string, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E. So it's like an E minor, just without your index finger there, and you only play the G, C, and E strings. Then you're going to play open on the A, then 2 on the A, adding that index. You're going to play this awesome E flat augmented chord. To do that, these 2 fingers are going to flip-flop. The ring finger is going to go to the 3rd fret of the E string, and the middle finger is going to go to the 3rd fret of the C string. So you have 0, 3, 3, 2. Then you're going to play 3 on the E, then open on the A. So measure 14 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And the 2 measures together, 13 and 14, with these jazzy chords should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on now to measure 15, we're going to play a G chord. I like to use a bar here and then add the middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. So the index is on the C, E, and A, and then that middle on 3 of the E. Strum through all 4, then we're going to add the ring finger on 3 of the A, then stretch the pinky out to 5 on the A. And then we're going to play 2 on the C, and that's the whole measure. So 15 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then measure 16, we're going to go back to something familiar because measure 16 is exactly the same as what we did on measure 4. So we're going to play that little D minor 7 chord with the up strum, D minor 11 chord, right? We're going to pluck the C, E, A, and then strum through a G7. So it's exactly the same little motif. And in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And the pair there, 15 and 16, sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... From here we go on to measure 17, and what's cool is measure 17 should look very familiar because it's exactly the same as the first measure of the bar. That sounds something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the next measure, 18, is actually exactly the same as the second measure, which sounds like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the two together, exactly the same as 1 and 2, sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on the next measure here on measure 19, it's actually exactly the same as 3. In time, that sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And guess what? Measure 20 is exactly the same as 4. Which is also the same as 16 we just played a minute ago. And in time, that sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the pair of those, 19 and 20, again, the same as 3 and 4, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to measure 21 now. Measure 21 is actually the exact same measure as 5, which is the one where we played the open C and E, 4 and 3 on the C and E, and then 9 and 8 on the C and E. If you remember back to measure 5, and then we play the 7 on the A. It's exactly the same. In time, that sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. But here at measure 22, it does get a little bit different. What we're going to do here is play an F chord, and we're going to play it by barring across the 5th fret with the index finger. Take the pinky finger, add it here on the 8th fret of the A string. And we're going to strum through our C, E, and A here. And we're going to play 7 on the A with the ring finger, 5 on the A, which is part of the bar, 5 on the G, which is part of the bar. And then we're going to slide all the way down to this E7 chord, 1, 2, 0, 2. Index finger slides and turns to get on that 1st fret of the G string. Middle finger kicks over to the 2nd fret of the C, and the ring finger here on the 2nd fret of the A, strum through all 4. And then what I like to do here for this next E7 chord is I actually like to take this ring finger, slide it up to 5, and have the bar across 4. So the index finger is across the 4th fret, and then the ring finger here on the 5th fret of the A string. Just because you see we're going from here, you see how I take that finger off, this one turns, and that one's in play, and then we slide up. So measure 22 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then we go to this beautiful C chord. Well, before we do that, let's hear what 21 and 22 sound like together as that pair. It should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then that aforementioned beautiful C chord. This is my favorite C chord on the ukulele. You can use it anytime you play a C. 0, 0, 8, 7. Middle finger here on the 8th fret of the E string, index finger here on the 7th fret of the A string. It's just a really pretty sounding C chord. And then we're going to pluck our G, C, and then we're going to take this middle finger and we're going to move it down to 7. And then we're going to play that G, C, and E together on that 7. And then we're going to move it down to 5 and play our G, C, and E strings there. So that measure in time, measure 23, looks like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the 24th measure now, we play the C augmented chord. And we're going to take that index finger, add it on the 4th fret here of the E string, pinky finger here on the 7th fret of the A string, go and strum through all 4 strings, even though there's some dissonance there. That's what makes it sound kind of nice. And then you're going to play 7 on the A to finish that measure. So 23 and 24, or 24 in time, should sound something like this. Very simple. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And 23 and 24 together should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then we're in the home stretch, measure 25. We're going to play that same bar across 5, add the 7 here on the A string. You're going to strum through, and then you're going to play the C string 5th fret, E string 5th fret, and then the G string 5th fret. Very straightforward measure. And time sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then going into measure 26, we hold this, and we're going to strum through. Play the 5 on the A by taking the ring finger off. Play the 5 on the G, already there. Then the 7 on the E with the ring finger. Then we go to our D minor, add 11 that we played earlier, the 0, 2, 1, 0. Middle finger there on the 2nd fret of the C string, index on the 1st fret of the E. We're going to have a fermata here, which means we're going to play it, and we're going to just let it ring for a moment. Then we're going to play a D sharp diminished chord. Now we played a diminished chord earlier in the song. We actually were playing this is a D diminished chord. Earlier we played a D sharp diminished chord. We just move it down 1 fret. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice and straightforward. And that measure 26 in time should sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... I pause a little bit with those 2 notes. And going right into the last measure of the song, and then we'll play the 3 of these together. We're going to go to this C sus4 chord, which we're going to play 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 3. And because we're coming from this here, what we want to do is we want to kick that index to the 1 on the E string and the 3rd fret on the A string with the ring finger. Very nice chord. Strum through all 4, and then we're going to pluck the G, C, E, and then we're going to move up to that C chord I mentioned earlier. Remember when I said my favorite C chord that we played earlier in this tune? One that we did on 23, same chord there, 0, 0, 8, 7. And so measure 27 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And you can slow down with that part, sounds great. So that you can hear it though, here's measures 25, 26, 27 all together. It should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And there you have it. Bringing the camera back up to me. I think it's really important with the song that you play it by feel. It's okay if you're not perfect with these rhythms. I don't think it sounds good when you're perfect with these rhythms. I think it sounds best when you use that rubato sense. And rubato just means to play with feeling. Let those notes ring. It's a really nice, beautiful Christmas melody, and it sounds best when you take your time with it. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'll look forward to seeing you next time here on Rock Class 101 for the next lesson. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so this week's ukulele lesson was a ton of fun. It's a classic Christmas song and a really great piece for working on incorporating rubato into your playing. Now, I do want to give you a friendly reminder that if you did want to get the tabs to print off and keep for your records, that was available at this link right here. Or you can go to the site, rockclass101.com, and do a search for the song's name. Don't forget, too, on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer, so you can literally hit play. You can watch the tab scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great, great tool. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed learning this tune, and we will catch you in the next lesson. Merry Christmas. Take care.